Well, it is Thursday, the 9th day of March 2023. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch and Hope TV, the station where you look and live. We apologize for that delay. I'm Tess Njenga and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Mureithi. Do you know your loved ones, your love language and that of your partner? Is she very dead? Well, on Candid Conversations tonight, we will be talking about the different languages of love. In case you are not sure about what that means, stay tuned as we are hosting Reverend Dr. Pete Odera, the founder of Ixos Institute, who will be helping us understand how to express love in a manner that your partner appreciates most. Before that, let us take a look at the day's news. Now, the government will tomorrow announce new measures it will take to fight banditry in the affected northern parts of the country. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has said the new measures will count as the second phase of the ongoing security operations in the region. And as Grace Ahati now reports, more than 140 illegal weapons have been recovered from the region after the 3-day amnesty period lapsed.
With just 20 days after a multi-agency security operation was declared in the volatile parts of the northern regions of the country, the government has announced that some progress has been made. Addressing the press in Nairobi, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki said that so far, over 140 illegal weapons have been recovered, noting that the government will get to the root of the banditry attacks.
I can confirm that we have made the deployment. We have assessed the nature of the security threats. We have made some progress with regard to some of the measures that had already been pronounced. Up to now, we have received about 140 plus weapons of various types. The amnesty which had been given for 3 days lapsed and will not be extended.
Kindiki further assured Kenyans that they will permanently end the banditry menace and that tomorrow they will announce new measures in the affected areas in a bid to stamp out the criminals.
I want to assure the people of Kenya, this administration will permanently end this problem. We will liberate the North from the hands of criminals. And so tomorrow, we will be speaking from the combat zone and we will say, what next? And we may be making certain pronouncements in the public interest so that we continue carrying the goodwill and the support of all peace-loving, law-abiding people of Kenya.
Following the incident on Monday whereby former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i was being held at the DCI headquarters and questioned regarding an attempted raid at his current residence, CS Kindiki highlighted that some politicians providing political solidarity with him had caused disturbances, including threats to mobilize people to forcibly access the DCI headquarters. CS Kindiki has now directed all security agencies to ensure that their security facilities remain protected, noting that anyone who attempts to access them illegally will be dealt with in accordance with the law.
Any person, regardless of their rank in society, who even attempts to illegally, unlawfully, and in an unauthorized manner access a security establishment in any security facility, that person will be dealt with ruthlessly, firmly, and decisively. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter their political affiliation.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Much appreciated, Grace, for that report. Now, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has officially flagged off countrywide protests against the Kenya Kwanza government. Raila made the announcement during the launch of what he called the Movement for Defense of Democracy that is protesting against the supposed illegitimate Kenya Kwanza government. And as our reporter Whitney Akinyi now reports, the announcement comes following the lapse of the 14-day ultimatum the opposition had issued for the lowering of the cost of basic commodities by President Ruto's government. Whitney Akinyi now reports.
Kenyans from all walks of life thronged the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation, the venue for the much-awaited Azimio La Umoja presser. Addressing the supporters, ODM leader Raila Odinga announced the beginning of a countrywide mass peaceful protest and civil disobedience against the Kenya Kwanza government, accusing it of failing to address the concerns on high cost of living within the 14 days ultimatum.
A merciful and gracious Lord.
Odinga, flanked by other leaders in the coalition, insisted that the Kenya Kwanza government is illegitimate and called upon supporters to come out and take part in the countrywide protest.
Had the issue of the unilateral recruitment of IEBC. In spite of a protestation, William Ruto and his team has gone ahead to appoint the panel to advertise for recruitment of the IEBC unilaterally and against our protestations.
The Kwanza regime is dangerous for our democracy, and therefore to restore the dignity of the Kenyan people and to put back our country on the path to prosperity, this illegitimate regime must go.
The people are now taking back all their delegated powers. It is now action time.
He urged all workers and members of the business community to join in the mass action so as to push the Kenya Kwanza government out of office.
That we have no more patience with an illegitimate regime that is too mean-spirited and too incompetent to deploy resources for an all-out war on poverty and suffering of our people. It is action time. Let us all come out, whether wherever we are, to make our voices heard and respected. And after we have done that, wherever we are, in every corner of the country, we shall finally converge in Nairobi.
Raila further assured that the Azimio coalition will stand with the people through thick and thin till their cry for help is heard and respected. He also signaled a massive rally planned in Nairobi on March the 2nd.
Our supporters throughout the country shall stage a massive procession in Nairobi for a legitimate and inclusive government. Save that date. We thank you and let the action begin. The movement for the defense of democracy has now started.
For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Whitney Akinyi.
And meanwhile, Kisumu residents have called for dialogue between the opposition led by Azimio La Umoja leader Raila Odinga and President William Ruto's government for an amicable resolution to the high cost of living facing Kenyans. The residents said the exchange of words between the two leaders is not helping to resolve the crisis facing the country and further called for respect between the opposition and the government to take the country forward.
Sasa vile uongozi ilienda pande hiyo, nimesikia vibaya sana. Kama kwa sababu Raila alisema kama atapata uongozi hii, watoto watasema bure, vitu tarudi chini. Sasa William Ruto vile aliingia kuongozi, alisema vitu tarudi chini, masomo itarudi chini. Sasa hivi tunaona tu kwa shule ile tuition, walimu wanaongeza pesa tuition inaenda mbele. Karo imeongezwa, bei ya unga yenye Ruto alisema yarudi chini, kila kitu sasa imepanda. Sasa udanganyifu ndio mingi. Sasa sisi tulikuwa nataka baba ni asikilie hiyo kitu, tungesikia vizuri. Tunasikia mbaya sana. Kila kitu imepanda. Sasa sisi tutakuwa namna gani? Mtu alikuwa kama William Ruto, sasa yeye mdanganyifu tu, alikuwa anasema tu onga anachetea sisi. Sasa hii wameenda huko wanakula tu. Watu bei ya vitu zimeongezwa sasa hii. Sisi tunasikia mbaya sana, tunaumia. Hawasikii.
Sisi chenye tunasema Raila na William Samoei Ruto president wakae chini waongee ili maisha ya Kenya irudi sawa. Mambo ya maandamano, huyu ako kando mwingine ako kando, itatusaidia. Hao watu wakuje pamoja waongee, watoe hizi shida. Sasa hii ukame iko, njaa iko, watu hawezi kula. Sasa kama bado unatoa watu wanapeleka kwa barabara, hayoingi, italeta shida mbaya sana, hata watu wanaweza uana. Sisi tunataka amani ili Kenya irudi sawa. Kwa hiyo mambo mimi ningependa kuomba Raila akae chini na rais waongee, mambo irudi sawa.
Kama ni mimi naweza kuwapa tu alama, hata tuseme tu alama 1 kwa 100 juu. Vitu zenye wanapitisha sio vitu zenye zinafaa. Kwa hiyo serikali mimi hapana. Nasema kama serikali walikuwa nafaa tu wawe sawa kwa watu wote. Hata wakae tu chini waangalie vitu zenye wanafanya, wakae chini wanaziongelea kwanza, ndio wanakuja wanapitisha na wanaona ni vitu sawa yenye inaweza faa kwa Kenya wote.
Shida yenye tunaona kama ilete tuwe magumu. Juu tuko na shida. Unga imepanda, kila kitu imepanda. Sasa tunaona shida. Sasa hiyo mgomo ikuje tu. Sisi tumekubali na hiyo maoni ya baba.
Kwa naona hii maandamano kama mimi Mkenya, mimi naona si poa juu kila mtu ako na shughuli ya kufanya. Sasa maandamano nataka wale wenye wana kazi.
Wakileta maandamano, bora ni maandamano ile ambayo haina tatizo, maandamano bila vita, maandamano bila ghasia, maandamano bila kuiba kitu ya mtu. Manake kwa maisha ambayo tunaishi sasa hivi, bila kuandamana, huyu mwenye akupale mbele hawezi tambua ya kwamba watu wanahangaika. Sasa utakaa umengedya umekaa pale chini, nani atatambua unahangaika bwana? Fuel amepandisha juu, unga amepandisha juu, kila kitu imepanda juu. Gharama ya maisha imekuwa kali sana. Sasa lazima tuandamane. Maandamano lazima tufanye, na ikuwe maandamano mzuri tu, hiyo tutaandamana.
Moving on to education matters, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu has revealed that the ministry has put in place plans to equip special schools with the necessary infrastructure. Appearing before the Senate Education Committee, the Cabinet Secretary said that the ministry is also working on supplementing a textbook shortage that is hampering junior secondary education. Machogu added that in collaboration with church leaders, they have also put in place a chaplains committee to tackle the issues of LGBTQ in schools.
Going forward, I undertake to make sure the Teacher Service Commission is giving priority to special needs schools, because as Mheshimiwa rightly says, I think there is still a shortage, and I will specifically get the shortage in each and every special school, such that as we move forward, we make sure that we are able to mitigate on this particular challenge, which I must accept is still on. Through the literature, through everything, we are trying to take all the necessary measures to ensure that there is no such infiltration, and there is such a committee which from the side of the church it is called the chaplains committee, and even we are trying to introduce a chaplaincy to each and every school. We have had a discussion with the church, and that is also coming so that they can also be able to have guidance and counseling.
Now, a group of youth from Bungoma border traders have criticized UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala for his sentiments on dissolving subsidiary parties in the Kenya Kwanza coalition so as to remain with UDA as the sole party. Speaking in Bungoma after the election of border riders leaders in Kandui sub-county, their chairman Alex Kisuya said that the Ford Kenya party is strong, adding they would not accept its dissolution.
Chua hii Bungoma ni ya babo, hii Western ni babo wa Roma na Musalia Mudavadi. Na sisi watu wa Bungoma County tutupigia president wetu bwana William Samuel Ruto ambaye ni president wetu kura, adu kuangalia chama cha UDA. Sisi tulipiga kura kwa sababu tulijua kuna viongozi wetu wawili wako mbele. Wa kwanza ni baba wa Roma Moses Wetangula, wa pili ni Musalia Mudavadi. Sasa nataka kuambia bwana Malala, Hiyo ujinga yenye unafanya ukisema hapa Bungoma chama cha Ford Kenya inakuja kuvunjwa, hiyo ni ndoto yako unaota mchana. Na wacha nikwambie, Ford Kenya hakuna mahali penye inaenda. Na Baba Roma ataendelea kuwa, na huyo ndio president wetu wa 2032. Wacha nikwambie, hiyo video yenye unapanga kukuja Bungoma hapa. Na sisi nakwambia bwana Malala, hapa Bungoma hiyo video ya UDA hutakuja usa hapa bwana. Nakwambia my friend. Hapa Bungoma ni ngome ya Baba Roma.
Bungoma County bodaboda tuko ndani ya serikali na tunaunga serikali mkono, serikali ya county na national government, ya kwamba tuendee pamoja na tufanye kazi zetu kuwa rahisi.
Siasa iliisha. Kiongozi ambao umechaguliwa leo, iwapo uliunga nani, na waomba mfanye viongozi ambao walichaguliwa ambao wanafanya kazi.
On that note, let us take a short commercial break. Don't go too far. We have plenty of news coming up.
Expect the unexpected on the Stars Show. It's forever enough, always enough. Anything goes from singing, dance to gymnastics to mind-blowing art. All you need is a skill and a style quality.
Make sure it is very straight and clean.
Just remember to join us every Saturday with me, your host, Tamika Anit.
Welcome back. Now, Kenya joined the world in marking this year's World Kidney Day. This year, the day has been celebrated under the theme Preparing for the Unexpected, Supporting the Vulnerable. The day is celebrated every second Thursday of March with an aim of increasing awareness of the importance of kidneys to one's health and reducing the impact of kidney disease and its associated problems worldwide. This, as it is estimated that almost 500,000 Kenyans are living with chronic kidney disease. Currently, more than 5,000 patients are on dialysis in Kenya.
The number of patients seeking kidney transplant services abroad continues reducing, and the outcomes of those operated locally have continued to improve. The challenges of access to post-kidney transplant medication are being addressed through collaborative efforts by the Ministry of Health, KEMSA, and the NHIF, and a framework against which access to these crucial drugs will be developed.
Now report that we are seeing fewer and fewer people who are going out of this country to seek kidney transplantation. Of course, we have got challenges that are not unsurmountable, and I believe we are going to go steps ahead to meet these challenges.
Now, a Nairobi High Court has today extended orders stopping state agencies from summoning, arresting and prosecuting controversial lawyer Danstan Omari over an alleged police raid at former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i's current home. Justice Hedwig Ongudi extended the orders prohibiting the DCI Inspector General Inspector General of Police, Attorney General and Director of Public Prosecutions from issuing summons, warrants, arresting, charging or prosecuting lawyer Omari until April the 18th of 2023. Justice Ongudi granted the Attorney General 15 days to file his grounds of opposition to the suit lodged by lawyer Omari. However, the DPP defended the decision by the DCI to summon lawyer Dunstan Omari over the ex-Interior Cabinet Secretary House raid saga. In an affidavit filed in opposition to the case filed by Omari at the Constitutional Court, the DPP argues that advocate-client privilege does not extend to acts that amount to the commission of a criminal offense. Now, law enforcement officers in Kirinyaga have enforced a crackdown against illicit brews and drugs. The police arrested 2 drug peddlers who have allegedly been targeting secondary school students. The police said that they had nabbed drugs worth thousands of shillings, further warning the perpetrators to stop the illegal trade before they are apprehended.
God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Amen.
Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga, imenilenga tu kwa tumbo. Nikaitana tu Jesus.
I got tired of working with the x-ray papers, and one day I just woke up and I decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit ikakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii. Kwa msalaba. Opa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
Now, in business, Kenya Power has raised concerns over low uptake of tenders allocated to women, youth and persons with disabilities under the AGPO program. This comes as the company has set aside 3.7 billion shillings of its procurement budget during the current financial year targeting these groups. The company has noted that of the 3 groups, women continue to lag behind in the uptake of the procurement opportunities due to reasons ranging from lack of duly registered and compliant business enterprises, low understanding of the e-procurement system, and failure to ensure that the goods targeted for procurement meet the requisite acceptance tests.
We normally set aside tenders that are really targeted to women. Right now in Kenya Power, we are setting around 3.7 billion worth tenders that are supposed to be done by women. And this is according to law. We are supposed to actually give them tenders and also ensure that they get and actually supply. Unfortunately, the uptake has been slow on women, and basically part of the challenges is that women still feel this is a very technical area. We really need to sensitize them so that they can know what men can do, also women can do. I still feel they need to take up the challenge. The opportunities are already there. These are targeted area whereby if they give their best, they'll always also supply, just like the way men are doing it. And by the way, the few women that are also getting tenders, they do very, very very well in terms of performance and also ensuring that they give us the best for Kenya Power, quality and all that. The issues to do with women at times is because they are not sensitized well. We really need to go reach them, tell them to take up these positions. They need to walk to Kenya Power, get to know the tenders that we actually give. We can sensitize them, and we are even ready to go a notch higher in actually ensuring that we teach them on what is required, make them also become the technical the way the other guys are technical. These tenders should not be set aside for only a few people. The women can do it just the way men and any other person can do it.
Now, Safaricom and Nairobi City County have today signed a partnership to digitize the country's services and operations. Under the partnership, Safaricom will develop and support the Nairobi app as part of My Nairobi Hub that provides digital services and citizen engagement. The My Nairobi Hub will equally be available through other digital channels, including on the M-Pesa Super app, a website, and through a USSD shortcode for future phone users. The hub will also include an engagement channel known as Bonga na Sakaja, which will enable Nairobi residents to engage with the County Governor Johnson Sakaja and share feedback towards improvement of county services.
We are excited to be involved in facilitating the ability of the county to offer services that are simple, that are intuitive, and that the customer journeys are easy, so that people can do it from their phones. The future is digital, and if Nairobi is going to be digital, you need the connectivity, but you need the device that allows everyone to get the right experience.
70% of the challenges and opportunities that we have in the city, both as a government and as citizens of Nairobi, will be sorted out by technology. And that is why today we're exceptionally excited at this new partnership between us and the biggest technology player in the country, Safaricom, in fact in the region. And I think that will amount to something, that we have a new generation, not just of leaders, but of citizens who are now willing to own their city, to own their capital, that Nairobi is yours. And that's why we're calling the app My Nairobi. Technology is a solution that we're looking at. We are soon going to have our meters, all smart meters. We'll start with a number of smart meters. That needs network coverage. That needs communication systems. It will help us deal with our non-revenue water.
Now, electric vehicle company Rome has announced its relocation plans to a facility that is more than 10,000 square meters in a bid to allow expansion of production while maintaining a carbon-neutral assembly. The investment in a new facility is part of the company's effort to upscale commercial mass production of the Rome Air as well as improve efficiency, as the new location will enable Rome engineers and technicians to increase capacity. According to Rome's Chief Operations Officer Brett Mangel, the new production facility represents a significant step forward in bringing sustainable mobility solutions to Kenya. At the same time, the head of production, Japheth Ruto, expressed hope that the development will improve production and efficiency and create more jobs.
It's forever enough, always enough. Anything goes from singing, dance to gymnastics to mind-blowing art. All you need is a skill and a style quality.
Make sure it is very straight and clean.
Just remember to join us every Saturday with me, your host, Tamika Anit.
Welcome to Candid Conversations with Tess tonight, and joining us in studio is none other than Dr. Pete Odera. Welcome, Pete.
Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure to have you.
Now I'm happy to be here. It's been a long time coming, and it's my first time here, so I'm really happy to be here with you.
Thank you for making time.
Yeah.
I know that many people know you as a musician, but you're also a reverend. You wear many hats.
Yes.
Please tell us a little about yourself.
I wear 4, maybe 5 hats. The first hat, almost everybody knows me as a musician. Many people in Christian circles know me as a musician. For the longest time, that's one of the things that I did. Musician, music producer, and so on. So that's one of the hats that I wear. The second hat I wear, of course, is the minister of the gospel. I'm registered as an officiant with the government of Kenya for weddings and so on. But our ministry was registered. Now I've been 20 years, just over 20 years that I've been a senior pastor of the Waterbrook Church until last year, after which I resigned to move to my next thing, which I started about 10 years ago, which was mentorship. One of the things I found along the way is that I wanted to mentor, to bring young people. So I'm now mentoring the next generation of leaders through an organization I started 10 years ago. It's 12 years ago, called the Ixos Institute. And then I'm a media broadcaster. I'm a media consultant, but one of the things I do is I have a radio show, and it's called Good Morning Africa. Good Morning Africa broadcasts every Sunday on GOD Radio 1. We broadcast out of San Diego in California, and it's a music magazine compiling a lot of music from all over Africa. Some of our greatest emerging musicians from Africa, we put them on that show. So those are the many hats. The fifth hat I wear is, there's 2 girls, they're now adults. Wow. They're adults. They've moved out of home. My daughters call me Dad. Then my wife calls me a name that I will not tell.
That's okay. It's between the two of you.
Yes.
And you're also a musician. I saw your latest song.
Right.
Make Everything All Right.
Yeah.
You know, you have a kind of different music from the usual Christian, quote unquote.
Absolutely.
And it's about love.
Yes.
Even as you define for us love.
Yes.
Talk to us about that song.
So Make Everything All Right came to me as an idea. So my wife and I have been married now 25 years. And I got this idea to write a song for her. But then I included in the song, the whole idea of my girls and everything. So how do I poetically tell my wife what she means to me? And then I found that this song speaks to so many people, and I began to realize that, as you turn, you get into your car, you turn on the radio, and you're trying to look for what I call wholesome entertainment, and it's not there. It's not there. Back in the day, we had romantic ballads, and those who followed me online know that I'm a romantic, Tess. I really am. I'm the kind of guy who I enjoy the flowers. I enjoy when I bring the flowers, I expect you to write me back a note and say, "Oh, my darling, they're so wonderful." That's me, and just candlelight, those kind of things. That's me. And now my wife is not so much those things, but I thought, can we go back to romance? Can we go back to and I tried to listen to what's there today, and is this what our young people are going to tell their girlfriend? And then when I thought about it, when a young man wants to meet, I'm helping these young men. I'm helping these young men. Listen, this is what you should be telling your girls. You're like a flower, you're like the moon. You're like a flower in the breaking morning, you're like the moon in the clear December night. Each and every hour until my work on earth is done, I'll be the wind that blows the sand dunes and make everything all right.
That's amazing when you consider nowadays some of the compliments or words that men use, young men, unanimaliza. There's some
umeiva.
I mean, those words I think Kumpi, I'm not the only one that finds them a bit off.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, is chivalry dead? It's almost as if...
This is my attempt at trying to say, guys, you've got to do more than hi, umeiva. You know, you got to do more. A woman wants to be romanced. Now, not every woman is like that, but women want to be appreciated. And you know, people call it lies and what have you. No, I'm not saying lie. I'm saying compliment the woman. Tell her what she is to you. Tell her what borrow my lines. Borrow my lines if you have to.
They are not copyrighted. They
are, but you can. And when you get the girl, when you walk down the aisle, when please say, I started by saying the lines to a song. I remember listening to, you know, when we're younger, I listen now the stuff that we used to call secular music. I listen to old Lionel Richie and old Luther Vandross music. I say, this was romantic.
Yeah.
This was romantic. This was music that said something. So I'm an old head like that. But now I really feel that these kind of songs are missing from our airwaves. So I'm making a deliberate effort to not just put this out and not, because I'm looking for this song to be number one, not just on the gospel charts, a gospel love song. No, what I want is for this thing to, on our secular radio and R&B radio stations, to be number one there, for people to request it and say, I got married to this song. I walked down the aisle to this song. I got proposed to with this song. That's what I'd like to see with this song.
Wow. I'm sure people will check it out. You said it's...
Make Everything Alright. Pete Odera, Make Everything Alright on YouTube. It'll be on all platforms. I'm happy. This is the first TV interview I'm doing concerning this song, so thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. But I feel it's important because we're talking about relationships, and I think that the idea that there's constant conflict in our society to me says that we failed to find a way to smoothly go around some of the issues that we're talking. So my thing is to put this song out there. It begins a discussion. It starts a discussion. And who better to do this? I've been marrying couples for the last 20 years, and I think my experience there has taught me something about how do you keep a marriage, how do you keep a relationship alive. So this is my gift to you guys, to say, sing to each other, even if you don't know how to sing.
Thank you. It's almost as if no feelings, no investment is necessary as long as somebody has money.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do you think there needs to be a change from this transactional kind of relationships to something else?
Absolutely. That's the word I was going to use, transactional. We've become a very materialistic society. And I say greedy and materialistic. And this is not just a function of, this is a function of the word I'd use is zeitgeist. This is how Kenya is now. Urban Kenya is a thing where if you don't have, in fact, I remember watching one little, I think it's a thing on TikTok or something, where there was a lady who was saying in Swahili, mimi nilivunjwa moyo, sasa naenda kuvunja moyo. And this is what she was saying. And I said, oh, this girl is not upper class Nairobi, whatever. This is not real housewives of Nairobi. This is a regular girl, hustling on the street, and she realized that her heart was broken. So something's wrong with us. Something's wrong with us. But that basis there is because of materialism. And when we talk about materialism, many of us misunderstand and think that materialism is just the love of money. It's actually love of material things, where I want to see, touch things. So if you say you love me, show me with something, And then where the Bible says in the last days, there shall be people who are lovers of pleasure, lovers of money. So we're really just walking into that prophetic season in the last days when evil will increase. But at the same time, and this is why I think we need to continue shining our light. Say, in the last days, it says, arise, shine, for thy light has come, and thy glory has risen, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. The light, even though the Bible says that there's darkness has covered the earth, and gross darkness the people of the earth, your light will still shine in the darkness. So my thing is then, we shouldn't be that part of the darkness, in that our relationships as believers should be different. People should look at our relationships and say, wow, what are you doing different? How come you don't have the issues that we have? But the problem is that many of us as believers are walking into relationships with the very same values, with the very same goals, with the very same ideas that many of our people are approaching, that people in the world are approaching. Of course you'll get the same results. You'll get the same confusion. So for me, I think you're absolutely right. There needs to be a change from the transactionalism. And we need to love for love's sake. You know, I love somebody just because they love me. Please, I need my...
Where did we change? What happened? Or has it always been so?
No, it's not been like that. So part of it is this. I think there's two dynamics that are going on. One is modernity. So you're really looking at a new generation that in very much, and the trouble with generational change is that it doesn't make an announcement, you know, but here we are with postmodern young people. Postmodern young people are transactional. They're more materialistic. So you have millennials and Gen Z who are doing this. They're just doing this. They're doing this transaction. So that's one of the things. So postmodernism is definitely something that we're dealing with, whether our pastors, whether our leaders want to face it or not. Postmodernism is real. That's something that we're dealing with. The second thing, though, is that unfortunately, the church didn't lead the way. The church didn't lead the way in talking about love and romance and marriage. Unfortunately. It's only now that that's become a real thing when there's a crisis. And I'll say that we missed an opportunity. So let's go back to the 1990s. There was a group called Five Alive. I don't know if you remember Five Alive. Five Alive was a boy band that most of them worshipped over here at Nairobi Baptist Church where I was. And I remember the church treated, and not just Nairobi Baptist Church, the church in general looked at Five Alive and said, oh, these evil demonic boys wearing earrings, talking about love, they're not talking about Jesus. But they were believers, they were our kids. These were kids that we mentored, we walked with, and they were trying to reach a demographic to talk about something that many of us were afraid. The church wasn't, and nature abhors a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. What ends up happening is you have a vacuum, and that vacuum will be filled by somebody else. So my thing is to help us understand that at that point, when the church rejected a nuanced approach to love and relationship, then we missed an opportunity to become relevant to the generation that now is. And what took their place? Boys to Men. What took their place? Brian McKnight. What took their place? Everything else but our very own Christian guys who had something to say about love and romance. So we didn't, the leadership didn't take, our leaders didn't give us, and the truth is this, many of our pastors had a very plastic way of approaching marriage, you know, and
what do you mean by a plastic way?
We only see this. We don't have real stories of success. But now millennials and Gen Z wanted real stories. We don't want storybook or picture book things. We want something that is going to tell us the truth about. But do you and Pastor Grace fight? You know, do you and how do you resolve those things? And they want to know those things. So in my premarital counseling class, we talk about this, and I use my personal example, and we say, how do we resolve conflicts? So this is what this new generation wants. They want, and the word they like to use is authenticity. And unfortunately, many of our Pentecostal and charismatic pastors are all out there, and we do this show and we can preach, but when it comes to marriage and things like that, we become very plastic. We cover up. We say, hey, we don't say, hey, my wife and I had an argument. Listen, that can be a revelation. Somebody walks into the church and hears that, wait, you had an argument with your wife. I thought you were holy. Says, but what does holiness have to do with argument? We can differ in opinions and learn how to resolve conflicts. So we never had leadership. We've had little in terms of leadership from the church. We've had little in terms of leadership, in terms of icons who can show us the way. And so we have the cultural big tidal wave, that's this tsunami of this tidal wave. And then, lastly, number 3 would be, we now live in the age of the internet. So whereas before we'd wait for KBC to turn on, and then KBC would tell us what to watch, and so you have The Bold and the Beautiful. We were investing in The Bold and the Beautiful, but here comes Escrava, whatever thing. Here comes the internet. Here comes the internet, full of all these Mexican, Brazilian, Indian, everything soaps, Filipino soaps, everything that now has this deluge of ideas of what marriage should be. And when that compares to what Pastor is saying on Sunday, Pastor is saying his thing on Sunday for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If it really goes long, it'll be an hour and a half. If it really goes long. But during the week, every day, there's Escriva, there's wherever, Alejandro, from Monday to... And so Alejandro is judging. So you watch the music videos, you watch television, you see the internet, and the pastor is fighting a 30-minute battle over hours and upon hours, days upon days from days of our lives and The Bold and the Beautiful to whatever's there now, and people live in this dream world, and it then becomes their reality. So the reality is, if I watch The Bold and the Beautiful, all I see is rich, beautiful, young and reckless, whatever thing, that's all I see. So I understand that love is, he gives me a Mercedes. I said, I don't know nobody who gave his wife a Mercedes. And so now that's the demand that our girls are making on the guys. And what that's bringing is that it's saying to me that love is material. And that is unfortunate. It's unfortunate because we have the Bible that tells us what love truly is. What love truly is. Greater love has no man than this, that Jesus laid down his life for us. And that becomes the model. And a lot of people say, for example, let's go to this song of mine and talk about it. Jesus has a bride. He's a lover. He is a lover, and he has a bride who he's still pursuing. He's still pursuing. Please remember, he has not married his bride yet. His wedding is coming. It's called the marriage supper of the Lamb. This is part of the understanding that when we say, here's the first picture. When we say marriage and say relationship, here's the first picture. He said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. He has married us, and he's given us a ring. What was the ring? In again, we look at Ephesians, I believe it's 2:14, that talks about he gave us the seal, which is the ring of approval. The engagement ring was the Holy Spirit. Was the Holy Spirit. This is what I teach in my premarital counseling classes. You're not giving a ring to the girl because it's fashionable. Jesus did it first. We are following his model. We're following his model. And if we follow his model, we'll get his results. He's still waiting.
So in terms of following his model, how do singles find their way in choosing a right partner? Now I'm reminded of your story. Listen to a bit of your rejection story that led you to the one of which you did not even know at the time that she would be the one. So trying to balance from your story and what Jesus gives as an example of how can people identify the right person.
I want to lay something down real quick. 2 things that I want to say, I hope we will never forget. If you're listening and you're going to tune out from here, there's 2 things I want to say. Number 1 is this. When you're saying, I want to get married, this is what you're saying to Jesus. You're saying to the Lord, I want to show the world what it really means to have, to demonstrate the relationship between Jesus and the church. I want to show the world what Jesus and the church is like. That's what marriage is. So when somebody looks at, this is what we're saying, when somebody looks at me, Lord, I want them to see what you and your bride, the church, look like. That's really what marriage is. So that's number 1. Number 2, and I've said this before, I'll keep saying it. I heard one bishop say, marriage is not supposed to make us really happy. Marriage is supposed to make us Christ-like. So if you're walking into a marriage thinking happiness, thinking wedding, thinking chocolate and roses and all these beautiful, nice things, then you're going to miss it. Because here's the thing. If you remember 2 Corinthians 5, it talks about 5:16, says, henceforth, we know no man after the flesh. So how do I perceive Tess? If I see Tess and I see the eyelashes and the makeup and everything and she looks beautiful, which you do, which is great. If that's all I see, how shallow am I? Because you're more than that. You ask any woman and she'll tell you, any beautiful woman is tired of being complimented about her looks. She wants to say, don't you see me? Don't you see who I am? Don't you see the real me? If all you see is this, then I'm sorry, you miss it, because here's the thing. What if none of that was there? So I like to joke about, making a joke about it online the other day. Said, please, before you marry the girl, go swimming. Go on a swimming date, see what she looks like without the makeup.
Without makeup.
Visit her in the morning when she's just woken up. Go get into a fight. So picking the right person, we really have to begin with the right concept. Because many of us start with, I'm in love, I need to marry this person. I say, whoa, hold up. Wait a minute, let's pull up the handbrake. Let's see beyond that. Is your concept, is your foundation right about what marriage really is? So I think that's where we begin. How do I pick the right person? The right person will share the same values. The right person will share the same values. If the values don't, that has nothing to do with looks. It has nothing to do with looks. Values have to do with who I really am on the inside. The right person has to do with, are they an empathetic person? You know, how are they, like I said, how are they when they're angry? You know, when I really upset them. So wait until she's upset, or wait until he's upset. You know, and I have a thing which I say is 10 questions. And every couple that I've done the premarital counseling with, I've said to them, look at these 10 questions. 10 questions you need to ask before you marry this person. I think I have a version that has 12 questions. And it asks those questions. And we ask, you know, is the person you're trying to get married to submitted to someone? Are they a believer? And when I say a believer, I don't mean do they come and raise hands in church or whatever. Is this person truly a believer? Have they really been converted from the heart? Because the church is full of people. But the truth is this, on the Transparency International Index, where our number is way back there, number 175, I don't know what number it is, you know, at Transparency International. But we say we're 80% Christian in this country. Why are we still corrupt? Why do we still see the kind of statistics that we're seeing for crime and for murder in this Christian nation? The reality is we're Christians by name. As my person submitted to somebody, have they gone through some kind of discipleship? Are they accountable? Deal with money. What's their relationship like with their dad? What's their relationship like with their mom? How the woman is with her dad is how she'll treat you. So talk to her dad. You know, don't be afraid. Just say, how are you with your dad? Hey, how's dad today? Please, my dad. Please, my dad. Guess what? That's you in a couple of years.
Wow, very sobering thought right there. So even as premarital counseling, as you conduct premarital counseling, I noted that you mentioned you ask them, most couples, to take a look at the 5 love languages.
Yes.
So maybe just before we take that break, tell us about why is it important for people to understand love languages? You know,
1 Peter chapter 3 says, husbands, dwell with your wives according to knowledge. Verse 7. Dwell with your wives according to knowledge. Let me paraphrase. Understand this woman. So the love language is understanding your partner. And I say that if you understand each other, the dating sites now even say the probability of this relationship lasting is how they resolve problems. Conflict resolution is the number one thing that will determine whether you will survive. So here's the thing. Understand what your partner likes. Because Tess, the reality is this. When my wife and I did the love language test, we were not the same. My wife is mainly works of service kind of person. In other words, when she comes home, she wants to find the sink is clean and clear. She wants to make sure that, you know, the light bulb that is not working is changed. She wants to see that the door that is squeaky is fixed. That's her love language. That is not my love language. My love language is quality time, words, and touch. So that's my love language. Guess what? We are so not matched.
Wow.
We are so not matched. If she loves me with her love language, she will fix the door, clean the sink and everything. I'll say, okay, that's great, but you haven't spent any time with me.
That's true.
So let's flip that around. If I do and say, okay, I want to spend time with you, and she's looking at that squeaky doorknob and it's not working, I'm not loving her how she's supposed to be loved.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We love, Jesus said, John said in his epistles, we love because he first loved us. So I'm not waiting to be loved by my wife. You understand what I'm saying? So our love is not coming from a place of just eros. So I now talk about the different Greek New Testament words for love. Learning the love language is coming from the one word that appears more often in the New Testament, which is agapao, not phileo, which is the love that we find for our brothers, brotherly love. I love you as a sister in the Lord. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about storge, which is the love that I have for my kids, my daughters, beautiful girls. I love them regardless of what they do. That's storge. I'm not just loving my wife with eros, which is the sexual kind of love, but I'm loving them with agape. And agape loves first, because eros demands to be reciprocated. If you've ever been in love with somebody, it demands their time. If you've ever, it demands, it says, and if you don't reciprocate the time, they feel bad. That's eros. But agape says, you know what, I'm going to love you anyway. And that's how we begin to be transformed and changed by the love of God and say, then I must learn my wife's love languages. The 5 love languages is a book, and you can actually do the love language test online now. I say, if you don't know your spouse's love language, this is not just for me. You'll have a difficult time in trying to understand who they are. So what I say in the premarital counseling is learn not just your love language, but learn your partner's love language so that they will understand who it is that they're, so that they now begin to understand, oh, I see. Flowers mean nothing to me, but if I give them to her, it means something. Okay, I get it. That's how to love her. And beginning to learn to love the person from their side. That is selflessness. That is Christ again, who being, Philippians chapter 2, in very nature God, decided to do what? To lay down, to cast that aside, and die even the death of a criminal. And he put not himself first, but he loved us first. He loved us first. Jesus died for a bride that he has not yet married. You know, those songs, I will die for you. Yeah. Jesus died for his bride, whom he has not yet married.
Yeah.
So I feel that if we begin to understand that Christ loved us first and begin to look at how Christ loved us first, how that will completely transform our view of, oh, that girl is so lovely. Would I die for her?
Thank you so much, Dr. Pete.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're so welcome.
And we will be having part 2 next week, so stay tuned.
Expect the unexpected on the Stars Show. It's forever enough, always enough. Anything goes from singing, dance to gymnastics to mind-blowing art. All you need is a skill and a style quality.
Make sure it is very straight and clean.
Just remember to join us every Saturday with me, your host, Tamika Arnett.
Well, if you enjoyed that conversation, do not worry. Next week, Thursday, the conversation continues and it gets deeper and juicier. You do not want to miss it. And that concludes Newswatch this evening. I'm Tess Njenga, and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. On behalf of everyone who has made this bulletin a success, including our guest, Dr. Pete Odera, thank you and have a good night.
for watching Hope TV, the station where you look and live. For feedback regarding our programming, you